In Amish gardening, there's a quiet confidence. The kind that comes from knowing you don't need to fight nature. You just need to understand it. These 30 simple gardening tricks don't rely on chemicals, expensive tools, or back-breaking labor. Instead, they follow rhythms of the land, the seasons, and the old ways. Each one is a little nudge toward growing more with less work. 1. Start with the soil. A garden is only as good as the dirt it grows in. The Amish don't just dig and drop. They treat the soil like a living system, because it is. Before any planting happens, they test the soil by feel. If you grab a handful and it crumbles like chocolate cake, you're on the right track. They add compost made from last year's vegetable scraps, straw, and animal manure, mixing it deep into the beds and letting it rest for a few weeks. This rest time lets natural microbes, fungi, and worms get to work. Those tiny soil creatures are the real gardeners, breaking down organic matter into food that plants can actually absorb. By the time they plant, the soil is loose, dark, and earthy, like a sponge full of nutrition. Takeaway: don't rush to plant. Take time to build your soil. Think of it as baking a good cake. The better the batter, the better the result. 2. Feed your soil, not just your plants. Instead of relying on store-bought fertilizers that promise quick results but harm the long-term health of the ground, the Amish build fertility from the ground up. Quite literally. They make what's called black gold compost. This includes aged cow or horse manure, kitchen peels and scraps, no meat or oil, garden trimmings, dry leaves, straw, or even shredded newspaper. This mix is turned every few weeks to introduce oxygen, speeding up decomposition. After a couple of months, it turns into rich, dark humus that smells sweet and earthy. That's when it's ready. Instead of feeding the plant directly, this feeds the soil. And healthy soil will take care of the plant on its own. It's a slow and steady method, but it means fewer pests, fewer diseases, and stronger crops that don't need constant attention. Takeaway: compost is your best fertilizer. Don't throw out your scraps. Turn them into garden fuel. 3rd, garden by the moon. Yes, the moon. While modern gardening relies on calendars and chemical charts, Amish growers often still follow the lunar cycle, and it works surprisingly well. Here's the basic idea. Waxing moon from new to full. Plant crops that grow above ground, like lettuce, spinach, and beans. Waning moon from full to new. Plant root crops, like carrots, beets, and potatoes. Why? It's believed that the moon affects soil moisture and plant energy, just like it controls ocean tides. During the waxing phase, the moon's pull encourages upward growth. During waning, energy moves downward, perfect for roots. Even if you don't fully buy into lunar influence, this rhythm provides a thoughtful, natural way to space out your planting and avoid doing everything at once. Takeaway: follow nature's rhythm. A little moonlight might make your garden brighter. 4. Companion planting. This is the Amish version of friendship gardening. Certain plants grow better when they're side by side, offering each other natural protection or nutrients. Examples: tomatoes plus basil. Basil improves tomato flavor and helps repel insects. Corn plus beans. Corn gives beans a pole to climb, while beans fix nitrogen in the soil for corn. Onions plus carrots. Onions repel carrot flies. Carrots break up the soil for onions. They also avoid bad combos, like beans near onions or garlic, which can stunt growth. This isn't superstition. It's a simple, time-tested way to reduce pests without sprays, increase yield, and save space. Takeaway: Some plants are better together. Let your garden work as a team. 5. Rotate your crops. Growing the same thing in the same spot year after year invites trouble, depleted soil, stubborn pests, and plant diseases that keep coming back. Amish gardeners avoid this by rotating crops in a 3 to 4 year cycle. Year 1. Leafy greens like lettuce and spinach. Year 2. Root crops like carrots and beets. Year 3. Fruit crops like tomatoes or cucumbers. Year 4. Legumes like beans or peas, which help fix nitrogen. This keeps the soil from wearing out and confuses pests who expect to find their favorite snack in the same place. Takeaway. Change it up every year. Your soil and your harvest will thank you. 6. Deep mulch. Nature's blanket. Mulch isn't just to make a garden look tidy. In Amish gardens, it's essential. A thick layer of straw, dried grass clippings, or old leaves is spread around vegetables, herbs, and flowers, not for looks, but for life. Here's why. It blocks sunlight so weeds don't stand a chance. It holds in moisture, which means less watering, especially in hot weather. It breaks down slowly, feeding the soil with organic matter. It protects the soil, keeping it cooler in summer and warmer in early spring or late fall. And most importantly, it reduces work. The more mulch you use, the less you'll be bending over to pull weeds or lugging hoses around. Takeaway: lay it thick. A garden with good mulch works quietly while you rest. 7. Save your seeds and your legacy. Why buy new seeds every spring when last year's plants already gave you the best? Amish families have long saved seeds from the healthiest, strongest crops in their garden. How they do it? They let a few plants go to seed, like lettuce, peas, or herbs. Once dried, seeds are gathered, labeled by pencil, and stored in paper envelopes. They keep them in cool, dry places, old wooden cabinets or jars tucked into pantries. Over time, these seeds learn the local soil and climate. They become more resilient, more productive. And there's a quiet pride in knowing your tomatoes came from a line that goes back 20 seasons. Takeaway: saving seeds saves money, but more than that, it grows food that's truly yours. 8. Use raised rows, the Amish way. Raised rows are a simple adjustment with big rewards. Instead of planting flat into the ground, Amish gardeners mound the soil into long, narrow ridges, leaving walkways between. Here's why it works. Better drainage. Water won't sit and rot roots after rain. Warmer soil. The mounded dirt heats up quicker in spring. Great for early planting. Easier hoeing. You don't step on the rows, so the soil stays loose and fluffy. Defined structure. It keeps your garden organized and reduces compaction. This method requires no lumber, no store-bought beds, just a hoe and a little time. Over the season, the payoff is big. Healthier roots and higher yields. Takeaway: lift your rows. Let gravity and structure work in your favor. 9. Water with rain. Soft, free, and gentle. Tap water is treated with chlorine and other chemicals. It's fine for humans, but not ideal for tender young plants. Amish homes don't have fancy irrigation systems. Instead, they collect rainwater from the roof in big wooden barrels or metal tubs. Some even use old milk jugs lined up along a fence. Why rainwater? It's naturally soft, without harsh minerals. It's the right temperature, not cold from the tap. It's free, and always welcome in dry seasons. They use simple watering cans or gravity-fed hoses. No pumps, no electricity, just quiet, steady watering. Takeaway: when the skies give water, catch it. Your plants will drink it up gratefully. 10. Weed early, not often. In Amish gardening, weeding isn't a battle, it's a rhythm. The trick? Catch them while they're young. Weeds are easiest to pull or hoe when they're tiny sprouts. Each morning, Amish gardeners take a walk through the garden with a small hand hoe or stirrup tool. 10 minutes, that's all it takes. Why it works? Tiny weeds come out easily. You stay ahead before they spread seeds. It's light daily work instead of back-breaking weekend marathons. This method turns weeding into a peaceful routine, like brushing your teeth. A little every day prevents bigger trouble later. Takeaway: weed when it's easy, early, gentle, and often unnoticed. 11th, plant what you eat, and nothing more. In an Amish garden, every row has a reason. There's no space wasted on trendy superfoods or fancy varieties that look good in magazines, but never make it to the dinner table. Instead, they grow what the family eats regularly, like potatoes, beans, tomatoes, cucumbers. What stores well, like squash, onions, garlic. What can be preserved through canning, drying, or pickling. If it won't be eaten, shared, or sold, it doesn't get planted. It's not about how many plants you can fit. It's about how much value each plant brings to your kitchen table. Takeaway: grow what you'll actually eat. A smaller garden full of purpose is better than a big one full of waste. 12th, let chickens roam in the off-season. After the harvest is done, when the last tomato's been picked and frost is on the way, Amish gardeners let their chickens into the garden. And the chickens go to work. They eat bugs hiding in the soil, especially overwintering pests like beetle larvae and cutworms. They scratch the dirt, turning it over lightly, a free tilling job. They fertilize as they go, leaving behind nitrogen-rich droppings. This natural cleanup crew prepares the soil for spring, all without fuel, noise, or cost. Takeaway: don't let your garden sit empty in the off-season. Let the chickens do what they do best. 13. Plant dense but not crowded. There's a sweet spot between wasting space and choking your plants. Amish gardeners don't measure with rulers. They measure with experience and instinct. Planting too far apart means weeds take over the empty space. Soil dries out faster. You get less food per square foot. Planting too close means plants compete for water and nutrients. Airflow is poor, inviting mold and mildew. You get smaller harvests. The goal is to create a canopy. Leaves just brushing one another, shading the soil, and keeping weeds down, while still allowing airflow and sunshine. Takeaway: let your plants be neighbors, but not roommates. 14. Use natural pest repellents from the kitchen and garden. Amish gardens don't use store-bought sprays or chemical foggers. Instead, they turn to nature's own solutions. Garlic spray. Crushed garlic soaked in water, then strained and sprayed onto leaves. Cayenne tea. A spicy blend that bugs can't stand, but plants love. Neem oil in some communities. A plant-based oil that repels insects naturally. Marigolds, nasturtiums, and mint. These fragrant plants repel aphids, beetles, and even rabbits. It's not just about killing bugs, it's about creating a space they don't want to live in. Takeaway: the best defense is a gentle one. Let nature keep pests in check, quietly and cleanly. 15. Trap crops, a decoy strategy. Sometimes the best way to protect your main crops is to offer the bugs something they like even more. Amish gardeners plant trap crops, plants grown not for harvest, but to lure pests away. Nasturtiums near squash, Aphids and beetles love them more than zucchini. Radishes near beans. Flea beetles go for the radish leaves. Mustard greens near cabbage. Caterpillars flock there first. Once the bugs arrive, these trap crops can be trimmed back or removed, pests and all. It's not wasteful. It's smart. One sacrificed plant can save 10 productive ones. Takeaway. Distract the enemy. Give bugs a tastier option so your vegetables can thrive. 16th. Let nature rest. The wisdom of doing nothing. One of the most surprising Amish tricks? Sometimes they don't plant at all. It's called fallow time, giving a garden bed a season or even a year to rest. No planting, no tilling. Just cover it with straw or leaves, or grow a simple cover crop like clover or rye. Why it works? It lets soil rebuild. Worms and microbes return. Nutrients rise back up. It breaks pest cycles. No crops, no host for disease or bugs. It prevents burnout for soil and gardener. In a culture that values hard work, the Amish also value rest. They know that even the earth needs a Sabbath. Takeaway. Let your garden breathe. Rest restores more than just soil. 17. Grow vertically. Think up, not out. Space is precious even on a big farm. So instead of spreading out, the Amish grow up. They use trellises made from old barn wood, wire fencing, tree branches tied together with twine. Climbers like beans, cucumbers, squash, peas, and tomatoes are trained to go vertical. This method saves space for more crops below, improves airflow, reducing rot and mildew, makes harvesting easier, no bending or searching through leaves, keeps fruit clean and off the ground. It's tidy, smart, and gentle on your back. Takeaway. Lift your garden. A little structure brings big results. 18. Harvest with care. The quiet moment. The Amish don't rush harvest time. They treat it like a ceremony. Slow, careful, and respectful. They harvest in the early morning when the air is cool and plants are crisp, with sharp, clean knives or shears, not by pulling or twisting. Gently placing produce into woven baskets or wooden crates, never thrown or dropped. This method reduces bruising, which leads to spoilage, preserves freshness, especially for storage or canning, honors the work that went into each fruit and vegetable. It's not just about picking food, it's about gratitude and intention. Takeaway. Handle your harvest like it matters. Because it does. 19. Use hand tools, simple and strong. In Amish gardens, you won't hear the roar of gas-powered tillers. Instead, you'll see a well-worn hoe with a hand-carved handle, a sharpened spade passed down from father to son, a seed planter made of wood and metal gears. These tools last decades, if cared for properly, require no fuel, no maintenance contracts. Put you in touch with the soil, literally. They believe that fewer parts mean fewer problems, and using your hands connects you more deeply to your work. Takeaway. Invest in good hand tools. They'll outlive you and ask nothing but care. 20. Let herbs do double duty. In an Amish garden, herbs are never just for cooking. They serve multiple purposes, saving space and working behind the scenes. Here's how. Dill attracts pollinators like butterflies and bees. Plus, it's great in pickles. Basil boosts tomato growth and keeps flies away. Thyme deters cabbage worms and makes soup sing. Mint keeps mice and ants at bay. But grow it in containers. It spreads fast. They tuck herbs between rows of vegetables, around borders, and near doorways. Some even dry them for homemade teas and remedies. Takeaway. Let your herbs work overtime for your plate and your plants. 21. Grow flowers with purpose. In an Amish garden, flowers aren't just decoration. They're workers in disguise. Flowers like zinnias attract butterflies and bees, keeping the garden buzzing and fertile. Marigolds repel nematodes and beetles, especially around tomatoes and beans. Sunflowers act like natural trellises for climbing crops and provide seeds for birds and snacks. They're also placed along garden borders, not just to make it pretty, but to create a protective, living barrier. Some flowers are even trap plants, drawing pests away from vegetables. And of course, a vase of homegrown blooms on the kitchen table brings joy money can't buy. Takeaway: plant flowers that earn their keep. Beauty and utility in one bloom. 22. Use shade wisely. Nature's air conditioning. Amish gardeners don't run sprinklers or shade tents. They let plants shade each other. Here's how. Tall crops like corn or sunflowers are planted on the south or west side to block the strongest sun. Underneath or beside them, they tuck in heat-sensitive crops like lettuce, spinach, or cilantro. This slows bolting when leafy greens shoot up and turn bitter in summer heat. It's not random. It's deliberate design, using the height and timing of each plant to protect the others. Takeaway: think in layers. Let taller plants give smaller ones a little relief from the sun. 23rd. Harvest seeds in paper, not plastic. When the growing season ends, the seed saving begins. Amish gardeners don't rush this part. They let the seed pods dry on the plant whenever possible. Then they gently collect beans, peas, when the pods rattle, lettuce, dill, basil, when flowers dry and turn to fluff, tomatoes, cucumbers. Seeds are scooped, washed, and dried thoroughly. Once fully dry, seeds are stored in paper envelopes or glass jars with paper lids, never plastic. Why? Because plastic traps moisture, and moisture leads to mold. Each envelope is labeled by hand, variety, date, sometimes even a note like best crop this year. Takeaway: store seeds like stories, dry, safe, and ready for next season's chapter. 24. Keep a journal. Let your garden teach you. What day did the frost lift? Which tomato tasted best? When did the bugs show up? Most Amish gardeners can tell you because they write it down. A simple spiral notebook or bound ledger becomes a garden memory bank, filled with planting dates, rainfall notes, first blooms or fruits. What worked well, what didn't. Pest outbreaks and weather surprises. Over the years, these notes become a local almanac, more accurate than any app, and deeply personal. Takeaway: let your garden speak, and write down what it says. 25. Build your compost high and let it cook. Amish compost piles aren't tiny bins hidden in corners. They're big, deliberate stacks, built like layer cakes. The secret? Balance and height. Green layers, veggie peels, fresh grass, manure. Brown layers, straw, dry leaves, shredded paper. They build it tall and wide, at least 3 feet each way, so the center heats up. That heat kills weed seeds and pathogens, speeding up decomposition. Each layer is watered lightly and turned every few weeks to add oxygen. In a few months, the pile turns into dark, crumbly soil that smells like a forest floor, ready to feed next season's crops. Takeaway: don't just toss scraps, stack them with care, and your compost will do the rest. 26. Grow perennials when you can, and let nature do the repeating. Annuals are needy. They ask for attention every season, but perennials? They're the quiet, loyal types. You plant them once, and they come back, year after year. Amish gardeners love asparagus. Takes 2 years to establish, but then feeds you for decades. Rhubarb, tart, tough, and nearly unkillable. Horseradish spreads like a secret and wakes up any meal. These crops require very little once established, just a little weeding and patience. And they're usually the first things to sprout in spring when the world is still waking up. Takeaway. Let part of your garden take care of itself. Some gifts keep on giving. 27th. Prune for strength, not just looks. In Amish gardens, pruning isn't about tidiness. It's about directing energy where it matters most. For example, tomatoes. They snip off lower leaves and side shoots, suckers, to push strength into fruit. Berry bushes. After harvest, old canes are cut away so new ones can thrive. Herbs. Frequent trimming encourages bushier growth and better flavor. The idea is simple. When a plant doesn't waste energy on unnecessary leaves or dead branches, it becomes healthier, more productive, and easier to manage. Takeaway. Trim with purpose. A little discipline leads to sweeter rewards. 28th. Share the bounty. Grow more than just food. A good harvest isn't just measured in pounds, it's measured in connections. Amish families often grow a little extra, not for profit, but for sharing. A neighbor might get a basket of cucumbers, a church elder might receive extra beans, and more often than not, something comes back in return. A jar of jam, a dozen brown eggs, a loaf of warm bread. This quiet generosity builds community in ways no fence or contract ever could. And the joy of giving makes the garden feel richer than any supermarket ever could. Takeaway. Don't just grow food, grow kindness. A shared tomato tastes better. 29th. Don't overplant. Grow enough, not too much. It's tempting to plant just a few more, just in case. But Amish gardeners resist that urge. Why? Because more plants mean more work, more watering, more weeding, more harvesting, more waste if it's not eaten or preserved. They plan carefully enough for daily meals, enough for winter storage, enough to share with family and neighbors. And then they stop. It's not about scarcity, it's about balance. A garden that's manageable brings peace. One that overwhelms brings stress. Takeaway. Grow what you need, not what your ego demands. Simplicity feeds best. 30. Garden with peace, not pressure. Of all the Amish gardening tricks, this may be the most important. Don't make it a race. They don't stress over trends, compare tomato sizes, or scroll for garden envy. Their gardens are places of stillness in the early morning dew, rhythm in the quiet act of hoeing rows, satisfaction in a single ripe pepper, picked with care. They don't measure success in how much they grow, but in how much joy it brings, and how much gratitude they feel, season after season. Takeaway. A peaceful garden grows more than food. It grows contentment, one quiet day at a time. So maybe it's not just what the Amish grow, but how they grow it, with care, with wisdom, and most of all, with peace. May your garden, no matter how big or small, be a place of joy, not labor. And may every seed you plant bring more than just food. May it bring a little light into your day,